No thanks. Ballet is not my kind of scene. Nah, I got one at home. That an actual avocado tree? Sure looks the part. So apparently if there's a fire, I'm supposed to run through those gigantic double doors 10 feet away. Phew, I'm saved. A plaque with some prominent donors. Interestingly, Deborah Sinclair is listed here. Ugh, plenty of bad memories from this place. Being forced here for school was the worst. The old librarian lady was the meanest hag you could imagine, and she had it out for me from the start. A workstation for the librarian. If I need to search for books, I could use the computer down the hall. Hi, I need some help, please.
Of course. How can I be of assistance?
I'm looking to find some information on the Soothsayer.
Ah. Quite a few people have taken an interest in that case lately.
That's so. Well, I'm not scared of a little competition. So, you got anything for me?
Yes. I would direct you to the microfilm viewer at the end of the hall. We have full scans of all of the major newspapers dating all the way back to the 50s.
Perfect. I should be able to browse those for some articles about the murders.
Indeed. If I may ask, what is your own interest in the case?
You probably heard there's a reward, right? I'm a PI, and money is tight, so...
I see. I suppose we each have our own ways to make a living.
What do you know about Deborah Sinclair?
Quite a bit. Do you have a more specific line of inquiry?
What do you know about the murder?
I believe she was killed at her writer's retreat, stabbed to death. The police say the MO was similar to the other victims, with the shattered mirror and all that.
Where's this writer's retreat located exactly?
There's an area called Bear Creek, just on the border of the national park. Sinclair owned a small cabin there.
All right, got it. That's a decent drive, so I think I'll head out there tomorrow. What kind of books did Deborah write?
She dabbled in many different genres over the years, but her main bulk of work could probably be defined as horror, mystery, or a combination of the two. Afflicted, Dead Ends Meet, and the Jenny Payne trilogy are some of her most well-known titles.
Huh, okay. Was she working on a new book when she died?
I believe so, yes. But I don't have any details to share.
Was Deborah a popular author?
Oh, yes. Even before her death. Afterwards, her popularity has reached astronomical levels.
I can imagine. Borrowing one of her books now is out of the question, right?
Correct. 6 months wait minimum.
Yeah, I figured. What do you know about Deborah's private life?
She had quite an interesting life. Adopted as a child, and her adoptive father, Sebastian Willis Sinclair, was an accomplished author in his own right. Deborah's birth mother was a young homeless woman and her father was a Native American. Deborah spent much of her life trying to track down her biological father, unsuccessfully. Perhaps in some part, due to her roots, Deborah's books have often contained subject matter inspired by Native American religion. She was childless and unmarried when she passed away. Rumors say she was gay, but God knows tabloids are quick to jump to conclusions. I don't think she ever clarified that matter to the public. If you are curious to learn more, I would highly recommend her acclaimed autobiography, Unbound.
Oh, I might check that out. Thanks for the information. Thanks. I'll come back if I have more questions.
Very well. Good luck.
You can rent one of those if you lack a fixed address. Let's hope things don't come to that. A bunch of magazines. Mostly celebrity gossip, it looks like. If I need a book, I should use the computer. Some local hero from the Civil War, I think? Well, either that or Beethoven. That guy gets around. Anything I print should appear here. I think that includes printouts from that microfilm viewer at the end of the hall. Some antique world map, centered on the US. 1800s, maybe? It's one of those advanced microfilm viewers. I'll need to insert a microfilm to use that. Microfilms containing images of scanned newspapers. They're organized by calendar date. Okay, let's see here. It would take ages to look through all the microfilms since the killings began, so maybe I can figure out on what date the murder prior to Deborah's occurred. Hopefully I can deduce the date of the previous murder from the articles I picked up at the office. When I have a good date written down, I can view the corresponding microfilm and look for useful information. That doesn't make any sense to me. What? Alright, I've got a date written down. I can use that to find the corresponding microfilm. Yeah, this date should be good. I'll search through a week or so of microfilm, starting from the date I've written down. Hopefully I can find some useful information on the previous victim. Yes, there we go. I'll have these printed. Alright, rinse and repeat. I should try to determine the previous microfilm date based on the information in these new pages. That way I can make my way back from article to article, victim to victim, until I get all the way to the first murder. Let's see here. I know where Constance Hill is, but that's a fair distance from the city. Better save it for tomorrow. For now, I'll put Jane Doe on hold and see what I can find about the previous murder victim. I've already written down that date. Worth a shot? Rats. I was hoping to find issue number 842 here. I guess the Sun is not a daily paper. Oh, and Jane Doe died on April 25th to boot, didn't she? That's the day before this. Seems unlikely that the murders were that close. Yes, this should be the right date. Let's see here. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, I'll make sure to look into that church later and maybe find the address. For now, let's move on to victim number 2. Yes, this should be the right date. Let's see here. Eric's address isn't too far away, but I should learn all I can here before I visit any of the crime scenes. Coming up last, the very first victim of the Soothsayer. Yes, this should be the right date. Let's see here. All right, that should be everything on the microfilms. I think I'll continue to focus on gathering information today and then head to each of the murder sites tomorrow. Huh. I wish it was that easy. No dice. Hardly a shocker, she was a celebrity. That won't work. Jane Doe is not the actual victim's name. It's just a placeholder name used to describe an unidentified woman. Nope, nothing. Maybe I'll have more luck with the church. That doesn't make any sense to look up in the phone book. Great. I've got the address to the church. I'll head over there tomorrow. I think it's time to see what I can find about the Azure Sky Motel. It's likely in this phone book here. I have his address already. Nope. Lots of Taylors in there, but no Rose. I guess that makes sense, seeing as how this phone book was issued a couple months after her death. Got the number. I'll call first and see if a visit makes sense. God knows I have to be careful with those last drops of gas left in the bike.
Thank you for calling the Azure Sky Motel, your oasis in Cassidy. How may I help you?
Hi there. This is Kathy Rain from Rain Investigations. I have some questions.
All right then.
So I hear that one of your tenants was murdered back in February? Rose Taylor.
No shit. Here I thought the boys in blue ransacked this whole place just for shits and giggles.
That happens more often than you'd think. Come on, man. Help a girl out.
Sorry for the attitude, but you know you're the umpteenth person to ask about that, right?
I get that, so how about we stick with the short version?
Fine. No, I don't know anything that isn't in the papers. No, you can't see the room. It's rented out. And even if you did go in there, there's nothing that the cops or cleaners haven't removed since friggin' February.
Understood. So what about the next of kin? She had a husband, right?
Yeah, he came by later to pick up the personal effects. I just met the guy for a few minutes.
Did you catch his name?
I did. But I don't think he'd appreciate me giving out his name to some random lady on the phone. No offense.
I am a bit offended, actually. I'm not some random lady. I'm a licensed private investigator and a renowned one at that. Ever hear of the Whitmore affair?
That does sound familiar.
Well, that was me. Now, here's a friendly piece of advice. Choose the path of least resistance. I can be a much bigger pain in the ass than this Mr. Taylor, believe me.
All right, fine. It's Orson. Orson Taylor.
That wasn't so hard, was it? Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. That's all, thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great day now.
All right, found the husband's number. Here's hoping he's willing to talk to me.
You've reached the Taylors. No one's home right now, but if you leave your details after the beep, I'll get back to you.
Hi, Mr. Taylor. This is Kathy Rain, private investigator. I was wondering if I could ask you some questions. You can reach me at 555-142-062. Thanks in advance. Bye. I think I followed up on what I can today for each of the different victims. Just one thing left to do. I noticed that the Gazette had the best coverage of the Soothsayer out of all the city papers. I think it's time to pay a dear old friend a visit.